Let's talk about crime, okay? Let's talk a little bit about crime trend and volume. Who here feels that crime has increased in the last, say, 3 years in Nye County? Everybody, almost everybody, okay. I can tell you it has absolutely increased. And I can tell you we're behind the 8 ball. Right now, we are behind the 8 ball. We're fighting a losing battle because, again, we don't have enough deputies out there on the streets to handle an increase in crime. Our valley here in Pahrump alone is becoming inundated with people moving in. There's lots of construction going on. I went by this, walled in, the streets have been laid and there were block walls put up at Mesquite and Leslie. And it's been there for years. Believe it or not, there are homes that look like they're ready to be occupied in that development right now because they're building, not Rhodes homes. Anyway, they're building them. Mountain Falls is building new communities. Every time you drive down Pahrump Valley, you see another vacant lot that's got a pad being laid. Okay, people are moving in here, and we're not keeping up. Trust me.
Is it fair to say that basically one of the major platforms they have is to just expand, just hire more deputies, expand the sheriff's department?
That is very fair to say, absolutely. Absolutely.
What's the current budget right now?
The current budget is about 13.2 million.
How much of that is dedicated for law enforcement?
Well, all of it.
So 13 million?
The current sheriff's department budget is 13.2 million. Change.
How can you increase that?
You can lobby the county commissioners, okay? And that's a good question because I was just about to go there. You can lobby the county commissioners for more money. We have the public safety tax, which was added onto the fuel costs 5 years ago, which I believe is about to expire. I don't want to pay more for fuel, just like anybody else. It's ridiculous. I drive a diesel. It's tough. But we can extend that when the time comes, okay?
What about federal money?
We can go after grants, state and federal grants. It's a difficult thing to do because nobody wants to spend money. But it's a necessity to keep the services at least at the level that we have. And it's absolutely a necessity to improve the services that we have. Okay?
We have to pay for things, but we want to make sure that we're paying for things that make sense.
You're right. And I don't like frivolous spending. I don't like frivolous spending. An example, we several years ago, right after I started here, we had problems with vehicles. All patrol vehicles were like over 200,000 miles on Ford Crown Victorias. And they were, we don't know what to do. We can't get money to buy new cars. I said, you know what? Here's an idea. Metro retires their cars at about 100,000 miles. And then they sell them at auction. Go to Metro, buy their cars, put your stickers on them and use them. You're already cutting your mileage in half on the vehicles, and that'll give you time to figure something out. That became the norm. Instead of the Band-Aid, that became the fix. And then after a few years, they realized that wasn't working, so they went out and they bought vehicles through enterprise leasing. And they bought 30 vehicles to start with. And where did those 30 vehicles go? To the county commissioners, to the Calvada I staff, things like that. And in the sheriff's department, when we finally did start getting them, where did they go? To the administrators. Again, who is the backbone of a law enforcement agency? The guys out on the street. The guys that are breaking down on the way to your house because you've got somebody kicking in your door. He's breaking down on the way to your house. And then we got a few more new vehicles. And where did those vehicles go? Again, to the administrators. The deputies on the street get nothing but hand-me-downs.
So if you get
What kind
elected,
of respect is that showing to your
if
deputies
you
on the street?
get elected, if you do get elected, how
No,
can you,
when I get elected,
when you get elected, how do you change it?
how do I change it?
How can you do it?
Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take those brand new trucks away from the administration and I'm going to give them to the cops out on the street. Okay?
You have the authority to do it.
Absolutely, 100%. 100%. Some of I talked earlier about the auxiliary, and I love the auxiliary. I absolutely love the auxiliary. But some of the auxiliary people have newer cars, vehicles, more equipped vehicles than some of the deputies on the street. Who's responding to the emergency call? The deputy is, not the auxiliary.
Why?
Why is the auxiliary guy not responding to the emergency
Why
call?
couldn't the auxiliary member be responding to a call with a designated law enforcement person?
Because he's not law enforcement certified.
How can he be law enforcement certified as an auxiliary, or can he?
No, he cannot be. He can't.
So that's another.
He has to go through the entire 6-month academy, 6-month field training, physical agility test.
You're not going to get a 70-year-old retired.
You're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. He's not. Hell, I don't want to do it now, and I'm only 57.
Well, he could be a retired ranger or a sniper.
You're right.
You've got a lot of expertise that are older that's abandoned.
Absolutely.
They're just abandoned.
If he has been law enforcement previously, within the last 5 years, then his Nevada post certification. And by the way, post doesn't mean after the fact. For those that may have heard that in the debate, post does not mean after the fact. It means police officer standards of training. Okay, it's a state organization that certifies us to be peace officers. Your post certification expires 5 years after leaving a law enforcement agency if you don't go back into a law enforcement agency. In my case, I went back into a law enforcement agency after 4 months. So mine is still good until I leave for 5 years, okay? So if the 70-year-old guy wants to do the job and he left law enforcement less than 5 years ago, then he can be a reserve deputy, which is what I started out as, and I basically still am. I'm a part-time aide, but I'm a reserve. It's kind of, Diane Slaughter and I had an argument about this semantics one time. He can do it as long as he's still capable of doing it and still capable of passing an annual physical, not a physical agility, okay? This is about as fast as I run anymore, folks.
Right?
Picking up socks.
He has to pass an annual physical. Blood work, urine, treadmill, EKG, chest x-ray. We get a physical. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
So, if you are elected, when you are elected.
Thank you, because I was just about to correct you.
I know, so, okay, got it. I'm not as spacey as I seem,
Okay.
but this is the question. How will that impact, I will assume you'll be full-time, how will that impact your current retirement?
It will not affect my retirement because I'll be an elected official.
Okay.
So in order for me to come back full-time now, I would have to stop my retirement. Other than being an elected official. Do you want to say I'm double dipping? Yeah, I'm going to be double dipping.
Well, you were, I don't have.
Thank you. Thank
I
you.
do not have a problem.
Do you mind if I kiss you for that?
Yes. And then I have another, are we currently seeing an impact from
I'm sorry.
Are we currently in my county or Baroque specifically seeing an impact from the legal side?
I would say that there's not a jurisdiction in the country that's not seeing some impact from that. I don't know that it's an impact any more than just population. And when population increases, call volume increases, law enforcement activity increases, law enforcement activity increases, because people are going to have domestics. People are going to get into car accidents. People are going to have their house broken into.
Are you seeing more of that kind of drug crimes?
We are seeing a huge increase in drug crimes. And I would say the biggest increase in drugs right now is twofold: heroin and fentanyl. Fentanyl is deadly in minuscule amounts. Okay? I received ketamine a few years ago because I broke my wrist and they knocked me out with ketamine, which is another animal tranquilizer. And please, if anybody ever is involved in a car accident with me and I'm unconscious, please tell the paramedics to look at my bracelet here, not to give me ketamine, because I don't ever want that crap again, and I don't recommend it to anyone. Okay, I had a terrible reaction to it, but fentanyl is 10 times worse. And I didn't go for the last 2 years, but the 4 years prior to that, I worked Burning Man up in Pershing County up north. And every single powder or pill that we took away from somebody had trace amounts of fentanyl.
Yeah, it seems to be more common.
It is, because it's giving you a better high.
Even marijuana. Things like that.
But you know what? Our department is not doing anything to address that. As a matter of fact, our snag detectives, SNAG, street crimes, narcotics, and gangs, our snag detectives were just reassigned this week to be general assignment detectives. So we don't have anybody, and we haven't had anybody for several months, to concentrate on drugs and gangs. We haven't had anybody for several years to concentrate on drugs and gangs.
Is there a gang problem in Baroque? I mean, it seems.
There is, but I wouldn't say that there's really a large predominant gang problem. It's more wannabe gangs. It's more, we call ourselves a gang because we're friends and we hang out together and we go commit crimes together, so we're a gang.
It's no M13s.
It's not gang per se of what you may recognize, and trust me, one of my opponents, I'll get to you in just a second, one of my opponents is talking about, I was walking around the fall festival and I saw these tattoos, and the guy had these tattoos on his neck and he's MS-13. Okay? That is a scare tactic. okay? He might used to be an MS-13. He might currently be MS-13 for all I know. But I can tell you that it's not a day-to-day problem here. We have problems with groups of people, but they're not going to be classified as gangs in the sense of the word by the federal standard of things. Okay? Yes.
Do I understand then that the former Viper task force that used to be looking for meth labs and grow houses is now in effect at the moment?
That was the Scorpion Task Force. Viper Task Force is the Metro Auto Theft Task Force, which I used to be a member of. No, the Scorpion Task Force has not been in existence for as long as I've been out here, and I moved out here in 2008. There is no drug task force in Nye County. There are no members of a drug task force in Nye County. There's no concentration drug investigation in Nye County. Why? Again, we don't have the bodies.
So, I don't know, if you have an agenda, I don't want to disrupt too much, but if you're.
You know what, I really don't have an agenda, I'm just winging this, so please.
Okay, so let's say you're elected and it's day one. What are your obstacles? What's going to be in the way? How are you going to deal with the stuff you have to get over to make positive change for our?
One of the biggest things that I want to change is the morale. Okay, the morale on the department. And that the deputies and the employees' morale bleeds over into the community. When I'm a grumpy son of a bitch responding to your house, how am I going to treat you? I'm probably not going to treat you as well. And if I have to take law enforcement action against an individual and he starts to struggle with me and my morale and my attitude is lousy, how am I going to respond when he starts struggling with me? I might go a little overboard, right? Maybe. I would hope not. I can tell you that on day one, January 1st of 2023, when I take office, again I said when, I can tell you that morale is going to change on this Nye County Sheriff's Department. Is that going to be a short-term fix? Yes, absolutely. I've got to continue that. I've got to stand up to what I'm saying here to you folks and to the deputies out there, and I've got to walk the walk.
Which means
And
that
I will do that.
if any of your people do something wrong, you can't just rally around them because they're one of your own.
No.
If they did something wrong, you have to call them out.
You're right.
Because that's the only thing that actually helps morale.
That's what you're paying me to do. That's one of the things that you're paying me as the sheriff to do, is to correct wrong actions in my department. And trust me, I absolutely will do that. Now, I'm not going to, hey, you screwed up today. I don't know. Somebody give me an example of something very minor. You didn't use your turn signal when you made a left turn.
You did something hard.
You didn't use a turn signal when you made a left turn. And you say, you're right, I probably didn't. Sorry. Okay, good, sign here. This is going to go in your personnel file. That's what's going on right now. Believe it or not, I know it for a fact. One of my opponent's son received exactly that in his personnel file, not using a turn signal. So, how about I come up to you and say, you screwed up, you didn't use a turn signal, somebody called in and reported it. And you say, yeah, boss, you're right. I'm sorry, it won't happen again. All right, good, thanks. Let me go back to work. Okay? However, the other side of that coin is, I want to come to you and say, hey, you know what? Somebody called today and they said they really appreciated the fact that you were there and you treated them well and you handled their problem and you did a good job. And they called and they reported that to me. Please sign here. I'm going to put this in your personnel file. We never get attaboys. We never get attaboys. But everybody has got something in their file. And I'll tell you, in law enforcement, my whole career, the line has always been, it takes 10 attaboys to get rid of one.
Oh, heck, if the mission is to destroy you, they will go back as far as they need to find something to cancel you.
Good point, good point. And it doesn't matter who you are. If you're a cop, you're gonna make mistakes, okay? I've made mistakes. I've made mistakes several times. Have I been written up? Yes, I've been written up. My name's in the newspaper. As a matter of fact, it was just reposted 2 days ago. It was a 17-year-old article.
Well, I actually.
Please get over it.
You just coined a phrase just a minute ago that I'm going to remember. You said everybody's got a file.
Right.
And I thought, you know what? That's cemented tonight.
Right. Everybody's got a file. If you're and listen, a lot of work, a lot of heat. No work, no heat. Would you rather have cops out there working hard?
Dude, if
Or
you're-
would you rather have cops out there doing nothing so they don't get in trouble?
If you're not taking flack, you're not over the target.
But I'm not going to be afraid to address the times that they need to be addressed.
Currently, Worley, Eric Murphy are running in the same policy. I mean, they've been in leadership positions here in the sheriff's department for years. When you become sheriff,
Thank you.
do you have a person?
Everybody's figured it out, aren't they?
Do you have a person or somebody that is your go-to guy that's going to replace some of the leadership and the policies that are presented that make corrupt sheriff's department in the situation they're in now? A lot of people are telling me, they say, oh, Eric Murphy, y'all, we're gonna vote for this guy. Yeah, but I'm thinking, you wanna change policy, you're changing at the top. Why have somebody else?
Okay, I think I know where you're going, and I've got to sincerely apologize for not making an introduction when I started this, and I've got to apologize to Bill Beck over here, sitting right beside the door, the good-looking young man with the he got powdered sugar in his hair. Bill is going to be the undersheriff. Bill retired from the Nye County Sheriff's Department in 2013, the same year I retired from Metro. Bill retired as a captain from the Nye County Sheriff's Department. He is going to be my undersheriff. He knows the workings of law enforcement. He knows the workings of the Nye County Sheriff's Department. He has the training. He has the administrative experience and training. You're looking for somebody who is going to be my right-hand man. That's the man right there. And here's the thing. Bill is willing to freeze his retirement from the Nye County Sheriff's Department. He is willing to freeze his retirement and put it on hold to become the sheriff, the undersheriff.
What does that mean?
He's not going to be collecting his retirement as long as he's the undersheriff. He's going to be collecting a salary again.
Does it accrue if he
It can, and it probably will somewhat. He'll probably get a slight increase to his retirement when he starts collecting again, because he'll be making more money now than he was when he retired in